Good morning, America and world. This is Constantly Cheeky, a weekly webisode where Rupert Cheek and Constance Quigley come together to discuss business. So our first two webisodes have actually done really well, surprisingly. I didn't expect people to want to follow us until we had reached like video 20. But they did, and they are, and it's super exciting. So today I wanted to, and Rupert wanted to address some of the cool questions we've gotten in our own personal and social media feeds. And the first one, and I think the most important one, is overcoming the fear to take on the risk to be an entrepreneur. So Rupert, what would you say to people who aren't sure about how they can overcome the fear and the risk of becoming an independent business owner?
I guess one of the things that most people often say, or say the most often, is start doing something. If you have a day job, as it were, to do something in the evenings or the weekends. So you can start going and then get it to a point where you can afford to quit the day job and focus on what was a side project, but that hasn't been my route.
Hold on. What was your route, Rupert?
I guess I'm still on it, but...
yeah, but it was to just do it. That was your route.
GFDI, as one of my friends used to say.
What's that mean?
Just do it.
Yes. Just.
There's nothing in the middle.
Do that with your entrepreneurism. Let it be a baby. Who cares if you don't have everything lined up? Because if you don't have everything lined up, you're going to figure it out, and you're going to figure it out fast. That's when you have that much risk on your back.
Yeah.
In a way, we're thrill seekers. Rupert's just a quiet one.
More often than not, yeah. Unless you put me in front of a piano or some drums. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we have that thing. So who's good to be an entrepreneur, Rupert?
What do you mean? Who's good?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who's your ideal entrepreneur?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Could you?
Everybody. Everybody. The thing is that everybody has something, right?
Right.
You could put me in front of a piano and I'm just going to make noise. It will not be musical noise. So the thing is we all have talents. You just have to figure out what your talent is and then do it.
Right.
Everybody can be an entrepreneur.
What was the first thing that you did?
Can I just say it was a turnkey company?
What was the first non-turnkey company?
I purchased 14 different adult websites. Yeah. And that would be great if I weren't, what did you call it? Rupert has termed this, and I'm going to put it down here so everybody sees it. Select a social. I am very select a social. That's my personality type. And when you go into that kind of a business, yes, there is the ability to make money. However, it was a turnkey company, so it means it's somebody else's website, it's somebody else's business design, it's somebody else's platform, and you only actually get a percentage of your sales. And I was doing I told you I'm a thrill seeker, so it was go big or go home, and so I purchased 14. And I thought this was like, I thought anybody could do it, you know, and I should explain, in the 14 sites I bought, only 2 of them were set up for man and woman. There were some that were set up for man and man. There were some that were set up for transgenders. There were some, I wanted every market ever. Problem. I can't answer questions for man and man. And I also couldn't answer questions for transgender. And I also couldn't answer questions for the very uncomfortable questions for people calling and being like, well, I'm only interested in you. What? No. You're supposed to look at the products. The products. And so that company was called Midnight Toy Box, the whole thing. And then each one had its own little website. And if you really heavily dig in my social media, you'll find hints of it scattered. I don't advise it for select to social people. It did not work out. It was way more socially involved than I expected it was going to be ever. And I didn't have enough grit at the time to protect my own mental sanity. Like, I was introduced to so many things I wish I were never introduced to. Like, I could literally spend the whole rest of my life without ever being reminded. And to each their own. I'm not judging you. I'm not one to judge. I wasn't mean to anybody who called or asked the questions I didn't know how to address. I just learned really quickly that it was okay to say, I'm not really good at my job. And it's time for me to find a new one. And that's what I did. And I was just, you know, I'm really sorry. I can refer you to somebody else within the company. And I tried to build it that way. And then I just realized that I'm not set up for that kind of work. Just mentally, emotionally, I'm not that kind of person. So yeah, no, it's just not for me. Maybe I need to realize that I'm only like 10 shades of gray, and that's okay.
How long did you work on those before you realised it was time to try something else?
3 years. So the thing is, what?
That's quite a long time, isn't it?
Well, sure, but how do you know that you actually failed if you didn't actually try?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has a time frame, and I'm not allowed to break that time frame. Something that anyone who goes into entrepreneurialism needs to know is that you cannot be flexible with the promises that you make yourself, and you cannot be flexible with your commitments. So start with time, because your time commitment's the most important. Your second most important commitment is, of course, financial investment. What are you willing to risk? So I always start with those 2 things, and they're always put on the very cover of the page of the report, because a business plan should, in fact, be a lot longer than 1 or 2 pages, people. It's planning.
How do you decide how long to commit to it?
How do I decide?
Yeah.
So if it's something like this, where you and I are doing FaceTime and we're recording it, in my opinion, we need a year. So I've committed a year to working with Rupert in this way to see where it goes, because there's really no upfront cost to it, And I already know it's going to evolve into something a lot bigger than that within 3 months. So there's a lot of faith, and it's different now because I'm, 12 years into this? So not this video, but into understanding entrepreneurism. So it is a bit different. If you were putting money into a company, I have a 3-year rule. So if you want to propose to someone, I have a 6-year rule. I have time commitment rules to like everything. So if you didn't realize that I have an interesting personality, guess what? You just did. So everything you want to pursue in your life, you have to be willing to commit the time and energy to see it through. If you go into something thinking that, oh, I'm going to give it 6 weeks, you failed already. Stop playing around. You failed. Like, that's reality. There's no such thing as 6 weeks. The people who go, I have 3 months of income set aside and I'm going to start a business, and if it doesn't launch in 3 months, I'll go back to work. Well, go back to work today and take that 3 months of income and go on vacation or donate it to a good charity, because you just wasted everybody's time. I don't mean to be so blunt, but it's who I am. Welcome to being an entrepreneur. Be blunt. The 3-month plan is crap. It's not real. You failed. You wasted all of your money and your time, and then you beat yourself up emotionally knowing you were going to fail. That's awful. 3 years. That's my answer.
You fail. You only fail when you stop, when you give up.
Right.
If you can't, when you haven't failed yet.
Right. So if you go into it with a give up date before you even launch, 3 months isn't enough time to even get Twitter notoriety. Like 3 months, what are you doing? 3 months is so silly. When you're going into business, you need to be going into the long haul. So with Rupert and I, in previous videos, we've discussed, that overwhelming feeling of maybe I'm not doing this right. As an entrepreneur, Rupert, are you allowed to listen to that feeling? Really?
Not for very long.
No, because it's not actually helpful. We can't prevent ourselves from having that feeling. That's called being human. But if you surround yourself with people who know what that feeling is and know that all that other person needs is that little extra oomph, most of us work by ourselves. We are at home or in an office, with the same 1 to 7 people every day, depending on your company and the size and what you're doing. So it's easy as an entrepreneur to get bummed out and to feel isolated. So the trick is making sure that you have people around you who know what those feelings are, can identify them in you, hopefully before that feeling becomes too strong, and can help you push through it.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't go in with a silly time frame. And a silly time frame for me is anything less than 24 months. That's a silly time frame.
I've been working on Cheeky Promo for almost 4.5 years.
Oh man, so that means like your millionaire days are right around the corner. You know that, right? Look at him. Look at him. He means yes. Let's try it again. Rupert, millionaire days are right around the corner, right?
No. Millionaire.
Ooh, yes. See, now you're entrepreneurialing it. That's not even a word, but I'm going to coin it. But that's exactly it. So the thing is that Rupert and I have an actual $1 million plan this year. Did you know that, world? But the thing is that we have to be able to be committed to it, and we have to be willing to work our tail ends off for it every single day. So what do you do most in your business?
What do I do?
Mm-hmm. Where are you? What are you doing most of the time?
Checking social media, replying to people, emailing people, sharing things that I find interesting and hope other people will find interesting and helpful and inspiring. Posting lots of content on lots of social media platforms.
So, if someone asked you, Rupert, can you really make money doing that?
Yes.
Okay, how? How is that possible? How can people make money engaging in social media?
By helping other people, by helping them to connect to other people, by giving them advice, inspiring them, supporting them.
So, who pays you? So, like, if I were on social media and I'm clacking away and you hired me to be engaging people, why would you hire me? How are these situations set up, and where do you find them?
For example, if you're a musician, you might pay me a certain amount of money to share your Facebook page or to retweet something for you on Twitter. Or you might ask me to do something for a month.
Like a tour promotion?
Yes.
Awesome.
Exactly.
And so how this works is you get paid by a bigger company to help spread information and gain visibility for that company or for whatever purpose they hired you. And you get to then spend your day engaging with other people online.
Yes.
Sharing that information.
For example, recently I met a composer who has essentially a publishing company, and they've asked me to start a conversation about composers who write music for TV and film and ads, and get people talking about their company, which I said I would be happy to do. So I've started to ask questions about and share content related to their company, and I will carry on doing so for the 3-month period that we've agreed on mutually, and see where it goes.
Do you want to discuss that company here?
The company is called Evolution Media Music. And the CEO is a composer called Tolga Kashif, who composed the Queen Symphony.
Ooh.
Which I bought about 2003 or 4 because I've been a Queen fan since I was 8.
Okay, so Rupert, I want to get real here for a minute. You're a pretty profound promoter. I know that I spat about it all the time. And I also understand that your clients, when they do come into you, a lot of times you're doing things specifically on social media and you are not a big bragger. But in the next 6 months, who do you want to be promoting personally? Like, who does Rupert chase? Because you are such a, what is the word? You are a humble individual. You don't brag about yourself a lot. You don't tell people what you're up to or what you're doing in that kind of a way. So who are you chasing? Who do you want to see on your client list?
Oh, more composers, more classical musicians, a whole range of, broadly speaking, pop musicians, from Joe Bloggs, who sings down the road from where I live, to a band that was most famous in the 90s called Freak Power, whose singer I connected to some years ago, to, I don't know, can't think of another band, but...
That's fine. So, what would be your reach if you were hired to post across all of your social media accounts 3 times a day, just off the top of your head figure, consider shares, likes, engagement?
I don't know. I've used a platform on Twitter which has resulted in a reach of 1 million plus.
So,
sometimes 2 million, depending on the post.
I told you, world, he is very humble, but he's also very capable. What do you love about your work then, Cheeky? Why did you decide to pick a career where you got to be home and engaging on social media all day? Why did you pick this?
I'm not sure I picked it. It kind of picked me. Music. I think I told you last week I couldn't imagine what I would do if I went deaf. Literally. So music is if I didn't have music, then I wouldn't be me. So the social media aspect is something that I got into whilst I was in a band about 8 years ago. I started tweeting about the band I was in, and it kind of grew from there. So it kind of happened organically.
Right. So, Rupert, what would you say to someone who's like 19, who wants to be a social media manager? They have a couple $1,000s and they're willing to unorganically build their network. Do you think that they're going to be as profitable or as successful than someone who invests the time to build an organic network?
I personally prefer the organic kind of personal human approach to the ad route, because I feel it's more, if it's the person doing it, then it's more likely to connect to other people. And the longest time I spend away from social is when I'm sleeping.
Which I personally do not know when that is.
No.
I think 30% of my messages to Rupert, like the little short bleepy ones, is, why are you not sleeping?
Because I'm posting on social media.
And world, would you like to know what his answer is? It's, because my name is Cheeky. Yeah. So what other tips and tricks and advice could we throw at people who really want to make this leap and they don't know how?
Depends where they've got to, but post content that you want to share and comment on other people's posts and share their posts. Talk to people, ask people questions about what they are doing, have done, want to do.
What about us? I'm totally open to it. Rupert, are you open to answering questions from people who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs?
Absolutely.
Me too. I am totally open to it. So down below, you have our links. If you want to actually engage with us and talk with us, either together or separately, reach out and let us know. And I study business, so I'd love to help give tips and tricks on what I think would be successful. And Rupert is super, super well-grounded in how social media networking works. So when you get to that point, or if that's where you want to start, he's a great resource to go to. I don't know. Well, anyways, you do our goodbye.
Okay. This has been our third webisode, if that's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
We've talked about lots of things. And I look forward to talking about more things next week.
Yeah, so this is this is episode 3. We did talk about lots of things, to include just doing it, overcoming the fear of risk, which there's really no more simple way of saying it. To overcome the fear of risk, you have to just decide to leap. So we're gonna wrap it up there. We've also encouraged you to reach out to us. Feel free to ask us questions, openly engage with us. We've talked about self-affirmations, some more, self-esteem, and generally being awesome. 3-year time commitments. 3-year time commitments. What was
that phrase that you shared with me about success?
I don't know what.
Two-word phrase.
Oh my God! You keep doing that to me. I don't know. I'm automated. Go-to catchphrases. Does that make sense? You have them built up in here. So when someone goes something something. Okay. So do you want to say it or do you want me to?
I want you to, because it's yours. As far as I'm concerned.
Well, you have my consent to say it if you'd like, but... So Rupert and I will end webisode 3 with a little bit of information, tidbits, go-to resource for every entrepreneur on the planet. If you want to succeed, impress success. Because when you believe it, no one can stop you from actually achieving it. How's that for an ending?
It's an amazing ending.
I'm leaving it just like that, just so you know. All right. See you later, world.
Bye.